my attention that there is a manhunt underway after a conservative activist, Charlie Kirk, got shot and dead on a campus in Utah. Charlie Kirk is a conservative political activist and a co-founder of the Turning Point USA. He was killed after being shot at an event at the Utah Valley University. Authorities in Utah said that there is an active investigation. FBI Director Kash Patel said this evening that a person who was previously taken into custody has been released after interrogation. There has been an outpouring of condemnation from both sides of the aisle to Kirk's death. President Donald Trump said he was loved and admired by all, especially me. He also ordered the flags to be flown at half staff until Sunday, and everybody knows that that is a national treasure to commemorate somebody that has passed away or a national tragedy. I will go ahead out there and say this right now. God rest your soul. What your viewpoints are, I'm torn. I don't feel like we need to be killing anyone for their viewpoints. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put that out there, but I'm also going to analyze this scenario from a macro standpoint to discuss it from a standpoint of not just one individual, what this means. This comes on the heels of an event that took place here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I do live in Charlotte, and I might have a bit of a different take on this. But what I will tell you is this is what I said about it earlier, and I completely agree with this statement.
About this case that is going on in my city of Charlotte, North Carolina. First of all, we get murders in Charlotte. Okay, I'm just going to talk out my thoughts, okay? Because I am going to read it tonight to see if they're going to give him the death penalty, which I believe they might actually do. If you haven't seen the case, it's everywhere right now. First of all, we were confused here. We are confused here in Charlotte as to why this is getting national news now. Ooh, excuse me. Okay, I'm coming. I just got to get a vape. Leave me alone. We are confused here in Charlotte as to why this is getting news now when this took place about a week and a half ago. We got the local news a week and a half ago, so we were... and we still are a bit perplexed as to why they're talking about it right now. There are a lot of murders that happen in my city. It's not like Chicago or anything like that, but there's always a black man on TV for doing something. You know what I'm saying? You know how public media is. And Charlotte is a bit kind of like taken back by this story receiving such news. In my professional opinion, I think the Republican Party is very smart. They take particular isolated incidents and blow them up to push particular agendas. This particular agenda, in my opinion, is serving two different purposes. You're demonizing black people, which you've always done using the media, and you're also using this as a point to change legislation. I also see the glass half full in this instance because we do need reform when it comes to mental health and public safety. This individual was a diagnosed schizophrenic whose mother begged for help, and y'all did not give him help. There should be no reason that he's just literally walking around this way. But you are choosing particular instances, and unfortunately, this instance is in my city, where we don't get a lot of national news, and the only national news we get is from DaBaby, who's been canceled for being homophobic, and now this. Thank God for Fantasia Barrino living here, because her voice is cool, except for that whack-ass remix that she made of Boots on the Ground. Some stuff should be left alone. But I say that to say this, like, it's clearly an incident dealing and checking off a lot of marks. It checks off the Ukrainian mark, okay? Because there was this big thing about how we're supporting the Ukraine in the way that we are. It checks off the typical narrative of a black person against white people. And that is even pushed furthermore by the president of the United States referring to somebody who's mentally ill who commits a murder, yes, which is a vile act, but you are referring to him as a monster or an animal, which rightfully so, and referring to her as a nice woman. For people who are not black, that makes all black people look bad, but it is rightful. So if we say you can't call that black man, that the black person looks crazy for defending their own in a case of murder against a white person, it is a strategic piece of propaganda. And it is genius. You know, I'm looking at it from a marketing standpoint. It is absolutely genius. It fits your narrative of policing the state. It fits your narrative of minorities being classified as what you call animals, and rightfully so in this case, okay? Because that was animalistic behavior, okay? But I don't know if you are black or not, but when the president, who's a white man, calls anybody else something other than another person, I just feel like that rhetoric is unnecessary, and I feel like it pushes forth an agenda. You know, and I told you, I don't know if y'all, how closely you watch my show, but I told you if they're going to start with the transgenders, 1% of the population, they're going to then go to people who don't have a right to be here, and unfortunately, that is illegal immigrants, and then they're going to do what they've always done, try to attack black people, and they're using a rightful case to subconsciously influence that narrative before passing further legislation. I feel like I'm just going to have to play this whole clip on tonight's show. And
I 100% agree with everything that I just said. I feel like the parties or the powers that be hand selected a case that checked a lot of boxes to push a particular narrative. The main narrative would be federal policing of the states. But it does showcase that we need to take better care of people who are mentally challenged, mentally ill. Just don't throw them in jail. Like they were talking about on The View, and I want to give Sunny a shout out for that, because she said you just throw them in jail and then expect them to come out and be better, but that's not the case. They come out and do acts like this. The state is a part of the problem. It's not a black and white issue. It's an issue of mental health, but you only broadcast black people acting crazy because it fits the narrative of us being baboons. And I don't know if you guys have recognized this, and Whoopi Goldberg on The View, you hold your tongue better than I can. This is about white supremacy. Everything that is happening right now is to keep the white man in power and for them to take their power back. And they're using legislation to do this. They're using the media to warp your minds into accepting that this needs to be done. And I'm just a speaker box to wake up. You're being manipulated, bro. Like, this is intentional. You never see a news article about a white-collar crime person going down for embezzling millions of dollars. But the minute that a black person is suspected of mortgage fraud, you come after them with the GOP. A black woman. You're trying to make America white again. And it ain't never been. Let's be honest, America was always native. I just hope people see it for what it is. I mean, and if you do see it for what it is, then you understand that what just happened to this individual, Charlie, is also playing into the narrative that I am speaking about. You get somebody who is on your team, a conservative anarchist, which goes to college campuses with no security, spewing hatred, and he gets killed on the precipice of you demonizing a sick black person. Causing divisivism, because some people are not necessarily celebrating his death, but they sure enough ain't mourning. And it's funny because you got shot in the neck, which is the same position that the person got stabbed in. The neck represents change, if you look at it from an analytical spiritual standpoint. Taurus is ruled by the neck, right? And so I feel like I am a bringer of change when it comes to our society. So I'm speaking about this shit. I look at the context clues. He stabbed that woman in the neck. He also claimed that he had mechanical pieces in his body that were controlling him. Now, are you schizophrenic? Or did they do something else to you in jail and release you to the streets to serve an agenda? Did Charlie really die? I'm getting too deep. Did Charlie really die today? I mean, I'm just asking the questions. This is not to slaying anybody's death. I respect the dead. You know that. Did he really die today? Or was this a setup?
Could have been a scheme that Todd set up for him to come.
to further police our states. I don't know about you. I don't trust the powers that be. I don't trust what you show me. I don't trust what you orchestrate. And it's not coincidental that this happens right after an incident happens with somebody being stabbed in the neck and you're calling for state reform. Legislation. Wake up! And I'm not saying he didn't die, okay? But look what it's done. You know, I go to sleep, I wake up from a nap, somebody dies, and then all of a sudden on if you go to Twitter, you know you're going to get the drama. Okay, you know you're going to get the drama. And they are fighting. The girls are at war, honey, okay?
See how I clock in to work every day and don't sell drugs on my body? Very stupid, very broke, very dumb, very pathetic, very...
Bit of comedic relief because this is a hardcore topic. I just hope you're awake. And it's not woke content, okay? Erykah Badu coined the word woke, and it's getting misconstrued in politics. Woke is aware that everybody is different and that's okay. Woke is aware of the agenda that you're pushing with us supposed to be sheep. Being woke is being conscious that you are being manipulated. So it's funny that they're anti-woke, right? They want you to be plebeianistic. They want you to be a sheep. They want you to be easily herded cattle. But we're not dumb. And when the people push back, you're not going to like what you see. There has to be a flaw in the plan for such rhetoric to be mainstream news right now. COVID was to drive us crazy, okay? You just sending the National Guard places was to drive us crazy, and we're just sitting back pacified because we have social media and we don't overt our energy anymore. We use our thumbs. It's not working, what you're trying to do. But I guarantee if you keep poking the bear, I have questions.
Get ready to rumble!
Spirit, can I read this? That is a tread very, very lightly, and I will. I believe that they are going to execute the death penalty with the black person who stabbed the woman in the neck. I think he will be sentenced to death, and I actually feel like it might be a public execution, too, to make an example. I really do. I will be honest with you. I do know the laws in North Carolina. We do have the death penalty here. However, our medical team or our medical field of study, they do not co-sign on using a nurse for an execution. So therefore, the execution can't take place. We haven't had an execution in 2 decades. But I do feel like this is gonna be he's gonna be made an example of, or they're gonna attempt to make an example out of him. In terms of Charlie. Can I read that? I'm just trying to figure out how to say what I felt. It was a setup he didn't know about. This was not orchestrated by somebody who was anti-him, even though he got shot in the neck right after he spewed some transgender hate. This was orchestrated by the powers that be. He was not aware that that was his death day, and he is slightly upset in the spirit. I'm not talking to him directly because I feel like he was very much so Christian, but I am catching the fumes of his ascension, and he didn't know that he was going to die that day. He knew that there was going to be some plots going on, but he didn't know that he was the person being plotted on. Who did it? A military trained personnel. This reminds me of like a black ops organization that somebody said, I need you to take him out and make it look like it was somebody from the crowd. Again, they said it was 20 yards away. Is this going to be found out? No, but Bryce shows up upright. They could manipulate this to push an agenda against black people. They might say it's a black person that did this. But I will say that this is a Caucasian person, and I feel like the person that is going to take a fall is not a real person. They're programmed. I just got a notification that says my live is unstable. I've never gotten that notification before. The powers that be watch, baby. I hear what you're talking about. You said it called an older white man. This older white man that you're referring to is a protagonist at these rallies. He's always going to these rallies, causing the disruption. So he was the immediate suspect. They've released him because they have no evidence. He did have a firearm on him, but that firearm was not discharged. So this person goes to all the Utah events and causes a problem to conservative individuals. They released him because they have no merit to say that that was who it was. I actually feel like they brought him into custody to show that the law enforcement there is not incapable. Okay? That's what you do. Like, you don't want an ongoing investigation with no suspects and make sure police department look weak. So you take in the person that's always causing a problem. I understand. It's propaganda again. This is the epitome of the marionette tarot card in my tarot deck. We're mindless and we're being puppeted. Just stay aware and ask questions. Okay, and just don't accept things that are given to you. That is my analysis from a nigga bitch up in Geach living in Charlotte, North Carolina with political ambitions but the best psychic in the world. What do you feel? What do you feel? And I'll just tell you, you're safe. You are protected. We attune our energy upward and not outward. Okay? Be an inspiration to somebody today, bro. Make somebody's day. Make somebody feel better about this existence. We need each other right now, bro. Because we're clearly not getting the energy from the powers that be. But in brighter news, there have been over 4,000 transactions from Donald Trump to Epstein that has been released today. And this comes on the precipice of a spell that I casted on the administration. I just wanted to put that out there. My sound effect board is even fucking up right now, you guys. So I am going to...